The Walking Seeds were an English noise rock, garage rock band from Liverpool, and this is their debut album with the snappy name, released in 1987. I first read about this band in Forced Exposure magazine back in the late 80s. I still have the magazine, and this is what Forced Exposure writer and publisher Byron Coley had to say about the album in the summer of 1989. Yeah, I know these guys have an album due on glass momentarily, but it's 7 months overdue now, and I don't see it necessarily showing up soon. But this fucker and its two preceding EPs can and should be gotten. Wild, virtually non-Anglo scuzz rock with drums so chippery you'll think it's Paul Whaley, a strangled, munchy approach to vocals, and Ron Ashton smelled Lee Stevens' armpits kinda guitar. Play right after Crawl Space and just before Outside Inside. You'll feel real good. I was an avid reader of Forced Exposure and followed Coley's recommendations closely, and this review definitely hit all the right marks for me. Paul Whaley was the drummer for Blue Cheer. Ron Ashton played guitar for the Stooges, Lee Stevens guitar for Blue Cheer. Crawl Space was another band from the late 80s playing 60s influenced noise rock, or scuzz rock as Coley writes, and Outside Inside is the second Blue Cheer album, and possibly their greatest work. So all these references made me more than a little bit interested, and I tracked this record down. Around 1986, there was a lot of 60s rock and culture nostalgia, and the Walking Seeds captured that in this record and their other output. The Walking Seeds definitely have a Blue Cheer thing going on, especially in the snappy drums, or chippery, as Byron Coley says, which, if you've ever noticed, are possibly one of the most distinctive elements of the Blue Cheer sound. And damn if they don't even actually have a song called Blue Cheer, in case you weren't paying attention. But this is from 1987, the noise rock guitar noise era, so the focus is on being abrasive. The vocals are particularly abrasive in a sort of deranged Gibby Haynes way, which was actually a fairly common singing style of the era, but the guitars are cool and trippy in a style that links back to the sounds of the psychedelic 60s. Blue Cheer, of course, but I also hear some Quicksilver Messenger Service in the leads. I think this is what separates them, to me, from so many other 1980s noise rock groups, the presence of the 60s in the guitars, all wrapped up in a great album cover. I found a reference in the archives of Trouser Press magazine in an overview of the band written by Trouser Press editor Ira Robbins, where he describes the sound of the later albums of the band as somewhere between Motorhead and the Quicksilver Messenger Service. I think Motorhead is a bit deceptive in the description, but I can see Robbins is just trying to think of an excessively loud, dirty band with a metallic edge, and the Motorhead reference will do for that. This record was reissued on compact disc in 1998 with liner notes by Byron Coley. Fortunately, the artwork was reproduced exactly as on the LP, and you even get the bonus in the booklet of the original photo used in making the psychedelic front cover art. The CD is somehow harder to find these days than the vinyl version. You can pick up the vinyl for around $12. The CD is about twice that. I have a memory of finding the band on MySpace, of all places, in the mid-90s, and sending them a message asking about a reissue of this record, and they responded that it was coming. I think I asked about reissues of some of their early EPs, but I did not receive a response. Two later albums by this band are on Spotify, but they are much less noisy, much less wild than this, but still pretty great, with the singing toned down a bit, much less deranged, and the 60s psychedelic rock influences coming to the fore. I found an interesting reference to Walking Seeds on the Facebook page for another English band from the mid to late 80s, a band called Midnight Choir, and they posted a scan of a 1987 live review from a fanzine called Grim Humor. The reviewer says of the Walking Seeds style, 60s sewer rock and 80s paranoid neurosis played together with equal ferocity, with the sole aim of bursting eardrums, filing teeth, and crushing skulls. The Walking Seeds, a sight to behold.